Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Developing a Proper Worldview. We're in section number 6, looking at the New World Order. This is episode number 93. And as always, I just want to issue a warning. If you haven't watched the previous videos, if you just happen to be catching this randomly or you're new to the channel, please go back and watch these in order. They are done in a purposeful sequential order. It's vital that you build the building blocks. That you have to learn the first things first before you can jump into these later things. So that's very important. And I wanted to kind of try something new here with these introductions because I feel like for the past 92 episodes, I kind of give the same generic introduction every time. We kind of just recap and go over everything, and it gets really redundant. And I'm sure, if you're watching this episode and you've watched all the previous ones, you probably know everything by heart. I always emphasize how important it is to watch these in order, and then we discuss each section and where we're at now. And rather than doing that, I'm still going to give that I don't know what you would call it, that warning in the beginning of how important it is, because again, the name of the video series is Developing a Proper Worldview. And so you have to grow into these things. You have to learn them step by step. Otherwise, you can be led astray, or the information can just become a bit overwhelming because it's so much to take in. So I'll still give that generic intro. But then I thought, rather than just recap everything, maybe what I'll do, and we'll see how it goes, but I want to perhaps talk about current events that are important for our topic. I want to talk about news issues that play into this whole concept of a worldview that we're developing. And so I just thought maybe that would give somebody, that would give people a little bit different information rather than just going through the same things over and over. So I don't know if I'll be able to do it every week. Maybe some weeks there won't be anything new out in the world that has to do, that's in relation to this geopolitical conspiracy that we're looking into. But we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll just end up being this one video, but it's something that I've thought about a lot. Every time we do these videos, I think to myself, I'm kind of just saying the same thing in the beginning over and over and over again. So right now, August 21st, we're in the midst of the Democratic National Convention. And that definitely plays into this geopolitical scheme that we're looking into, so I thought I'd touch on that. To be honest with you, the whole Donald Trump thing is really confusing to me. And for the past, what's it been now? 8 years, since 2016 when he won the presidency. I've been really confused on Donald Trump. And the reason being is my understanding of the political atmosphere in America, and I think we've shown that in previous videos, and we'll continue to show that as we go along, is that the entire system, our entire two-party political system, is controlled. It's a scheme. It's a lie. It's an illusion of choice. It's an illusion of freedom. And what I mean by that is there are powers above presidents and above senators and above judges that really control policy in America, that really control the direction, not just of America, but the entire world. And those powers are the elite industrialists, the elite families that we call the Illuminati, that pretty much own everything. They own the banking systems, and then they own all through that control. They own all the industries, all the major industries, including media, Hollywood, music, steel, coal, oil, pharmaceutical. They own it all. And we've discussed that they own it through they have a really ingenious scheme of control, because in America we have anti-monopoly laws that are set up to try to prevent one person from having that kind of power, but through consolidation and shell corporations, they own and control everything. And the easiest way to look at that, and we've discussed that before, is like if you look at the media. On the surface, it looks like we have 200 choices of what to watch on our televisions. You can watch CNN or MSNBC or Fox or ABC or CBS or NBC or the BBC or Al Jazeera or there's so many options that you would think there's choice. You would think, okay, if I'm not liking the information I'm getting from here, I can go to here. If I don't believe what I'm hearing here, I can look here. But when you really narrow that down and you start to investigate who owns what, it comes down to basically 6 major corporations control the entire media landscape. And those 6 corporations are owned by these elites. A very, very small cabal, an oligarchy of control. They own and dominate everything. And then they set up these umbrella corporations, or they seemingly divide their power into these smaller companies, but they're all influencing. It's a pyramidal scheme. It all runs upwards, and there's a controlling interest at the top that is the same 13 families. The same major elitist control is at the top of every industry you look at. And so it's those people, through the lobbyists and through just money, through monetary control, run our politics. They control both sides of the aisle. They decide they own academia. So when these politicians are coming up through the colleges and learning how to govern, they're being taught the scheme of the elitists. And then they go into, and they're also, a lot of them are occultists, so they learn that occult atmosphere, the occult part of it as well. But they're taught these same philosophies, New World Order philosophies, and then they divide up on moral issues, or money management issues. How do we decide how to run the economy? And they're allowed to divide on those issues because it really doesn't affect the world scheme. And so you have an illusion of choice. G. Edward Griffin described it as basically like the mafia. You have two families running a casino, running an underground casino, right? They run the craps table, and as long as they're making money, they really don't care what's going on. But as soon as somebody tries to interrupt the game, then they unify and attack, and that's how it is. So you have this illusion of choice with Republican and Democrat. And you know this because intuitively, every American ought to ask themselves, why is it only 2 parties every time? Like, yeah, there's a third party, but the independent party, but they're irrelevant. They have no power. They're ineffective. They don't really do anything. Why are we always afforded only 2 choices? Why is it always just right or left, red or blue? Why? And it's because that's how they control. They give you this illusion of choice, but they're controlling both sides. So it doesn't matter if it's Mitt Romney or Barack Obama, if it's George Bush or Bob Dole, if it's or whoever was running against Bush. I don't know, Al Gore. That's what it was, Bush or Gore. It doesn't matter because both of those people on both sides are under control and under the sway of the institutions above them, the CFR, the Bilderberg, the Trilateral. They're getting their orders from these people, which are controlled by that top level elite group. And so that elite group is running both sides of the aisle. And so when Trump comes along, it's very confusing because the elite control things so thoroughly that you don't even get that platform. You don't even get to that position. You don't even get the opportunity to run unless they know they control you. They'll just run you off, or they'll use their media to kind of blacklist you, to not give you a platform. They did that with Ron Paul. So you look at that and you go, okay, what about Donald Trump? How, if they're in control like that, how did he get to be there? He couldn't have been brought there unless it was authorized by these upper level management figures, the CEOs. They wouldn't allow him even the opportunity to run for management unless he was either ineffective, if the office is just a show, just a puppet office that really the president has no power, no influence, can't really accomplish anything. In which case, they don't care, let them come. But again, it's like, why would they? There's a plan. They don't allow things to happen without there being a plan. And Trump does not appear to be one of them. He wasn't brought up in the political system. He was brought up in business and industry, which is a controlled industry, but he appears to be an outsider. Just based on his rhetoric, the things he says, which again could be a lie, but like the for instance, he's appears to be anti-NATO, anti-UN, which is very opposed to the New World Order agenda. The New World Order, one of their main agendas, if not the main agenda, is world government. So why would they allow somebody who's anti-world government, who speaks against the globalists, why would they allow him to come into power? Another thing is like the border. Part of their plan is to have an open border for numerous reasons. The main one I can think of is you bring in third world countries that are used to poverty, and they really don't understand the value of American freedoms. They don't understand the value of the constitutional freedoms that we have. So they're not really going to stand up and fight for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, Second Amendment rights. They're not going to care. What's going to happen with third world country people as they come in, they're going to think that materialism is freedom, because they didn't have the opportunity to prosper in their old countries. But here they're given free stuff. They're allowed to get jobs and make money, and that has an appearance of freedom. They like the New World Order elitists replace constitutional freedom with materialism. And so they come in and they get that materialism, and they'll just vote for the people that are going to give them free stuff. They're a lot easier to control than national-born American citizens who believe in constitutional freedoms, who believe in the ideals of freedom of speech and freedom of religion and Second Amendment rights and so on and so forth. People raised in that atmosphere, patriotic Americans, value the right to speak, value the right to worship God as they see fit, value the right to own guns. So those type of people are going to be harder to oppress because they're going to fight for their freedoms. They're going to cause, and a lot of them won't fight, but they're going to speak out. They're going to cause hardships for the authoritarian elites. But third worlders aren't going to cause that problem. So you flood the country with third world people, and in a generation, or at the amount they're coming in now, just in a few years, they'll be the majority, and then you can control them and manipulate them and get them to vote to eliminate these freedoms. And so that's the plan. But Trump is opposed to that. Trump wants to seal the border. So it's like, okay, Trump appears to be anti-New World Order. So what's he doing in this position? They allowed him to get into this position. Why? Why did they allow somebody that's not a part of their plan? Why did they allow somebody who's opposed to their schemes to get into that position? And so that's the tricky part. It's like right now, the Democratic Party is so evil, just blatantly evil. The things they stand for, their platform is evil. It's in your face, anti-Christ, evil. Sexual immorality, abuse of children, murdering of babies. Just that's their main platform. It's so vile, so repulsive. And so now the Republican Party under Trump looks like a beacon of light because it's opposing that, and it's like for people of morals, for people with Judeo-Christian ethics, Republican seems to be the only way we can go. And but again, it's a controlled system. There's a reason they've allowed Trump to come into this position, and they're not going to allow. If their plan is for Kamala to win, then that's going to happen. And if Trump wins, it shows, okay, they allowed that to happen. That's a part of their plan as well. So it's like we can't look at this as a two-dimensional right or left thing, because it's controlled at the top, and either way it goes, it's forwarding their plan. They have an agenda. There's a reason they're allowing this. I think perhaps it's to, I mean, if you look at what they've done since Trump has come into office, just the media is continually stirring up hate. Just this vile rhetoric opposed to Trump, just hate-filled, just vomit spewing forth from the media all the time, 24/7 against Trump. And so it's like it's stirring up this division in the country, and so that's probably what they want. I don't think Trump is willfully part of their plan. I think they're using him as a pawn to cause division, to cause chaos. And so it's such a tricky thing, because it's like it's at the point where I don't vote because I'm aware it's a scheme, and your vote is irrelevant. Whatever they want to happen is going to happen. If they want Trump, it's going to be Trump. If they want Kamala, it's going to be Kamala. So your vote doesn't really matter. But it's like I'm at the point where I'm going to vote Trump just as a way of saying I see the evil of the left. And like I don't know. It's like I say, it's so confusing. It's the vote is irrelevant. The vote is an illusion of choice. But a vote for Trump is like an outcry against the evil. And in the end, it's not going to matter. But at least you're speaking out against it, you know? And so I'm very, very confused about it. I don't understand it. Ultimately, we know that God's in control, that he is sovereign over the nations. And while God will often allow the devil to do what the devil's going to do, and the devil thinks he's getting, like evil thinks it's advancing, God is over it, orchestrating it for his purposes, for his holy, wise, and just purposes. And it's going to advance the way God wants it to, even though evil men think it's going according to their plans. Their plans are really just playing into God's plans. So our vote doesn't really matter. And then you look at things like we're aliens and pilgrims and strangers. Yes, I was born in America, but we as Christians are not Americans or Canadians or Australians or whatever. We belong to the kingdom of God, which is a invisible spiritual kingdom. This world's not our home. And so participation in the political atmosphere is not necessary for a Christian. But again, I do want to speak out against evil. And right now it feels like a vote is a way to do that. Even though you know it's not going to change anything, it's you vocalizing, I see the evil that's coming forth from that other side. Yes, the right side has its evil too. The right is usually very pro-war and just aggressive, spreading the American empire across the world. And numerous other evils, but and ultimately it's like you have left here on a spectrum, right here, and there's usually the two will compromise, but the left doesn't move. The compromise comes from the right. So the right goes here, and then the left goes here, and then the right comes here, and the left goes here. So we're at the point where the right is still authoritarian, a form of authoritarianism. It's not as far as the left, but it's continually moving along this New World Order spectrum to the point where we're going to end up with this fascist, all-encompassing world government. It's just a really, really perplexing time right now, you know? It's the whole right-left scheme is an illusion, but we do want to speak out against the evil that's coming. The evil on the left has gone so far into evil that it's shocking, and it's vile, and it needs to be opposed through prayer and through exposing it, never through action, never through violence. We're not anarchists, we're not revolutionaries, we're peaceable people. We're supposed to seek to live a peaceful and quiet life. And so that's what we're doing, but we do have to speak out against vileness, against wickedness. So Trump is a very perplexing figure. It's unfortunately the elite have a plan that's unknown really to us, that's above us, that's going to play out regardless of what happens. And we're just kind of sitting back watching. It's like, okay, we don't know what their plan is exactly. Is their plan going to go the Kamala route? In which case, we could end up just in disaster. We could end up in world war. Or is that the elite's plan? Or is the elite's plan Trump? In which case, they may crash the economy. They may cause civil war. Who knows which way it's going to go. So we're kind of stuck in this, looking at it going, we don't know what their plan is. It's going to happen regardless. Like, I'm always confused by Trump supporters who think, they go, the election last time was rigged. And Trump really won, but Biden stole the election. It was a rigged election. Okay, so if you believe that, if you believe they have that kind of power, they have that kind of control, then why are you still out there promoting vote for Trump this time? What's changed? Have they lost control? If they rigged it before, don't you think they're going to rig it again? And it's like, it's always rigged. It always goes the way they want it to. And we're just kind of watching it unfold. But in the meantime, we have to speak out and expose the evil. And one way to do that is to vote for Trump. So, anyways, that's it for the introduction. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click the link, or I think you have to actually copy the link. For some reason, they won't give me a clickable link. So just copy it. It'll be down in the description of the video, and follow it over to Rumble. Or you just go to Rumble, go to my account, same username, KingRam417, and you can watch the full video there. But that's it for the introduction, and let's go ahead and jump into our video series. We're watching The Fall of the Republic, which is part of Section 6 on the New World Order.